Yeah, they ruled, that lady ruled in favor of every person and against every town.
Okay,
On every
That happened to us.
challenge.
if I can have your attention, it's now like 9:32, and we will call the Personnel Committee meeting for the Washington County Board of Supervisors together on this November 5th of 2024. First thing we need is a motion to accept the previous minutes made by Dan, seconded by Jim. Is there any discussion? All in favor, aye?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. And we'll turn it over to Danielle for the staffing. Morning, Jay.
Morning.
So I have some straight backfills. The first one is with buildings and grounds. They had a building maintenance helper vacate the position on October 31st due to a resignation. There are a couple additions from when the agenda first came up. So public health, they actually had a breastfeeding peer counselor per diem vacate in July due to a resignation, which they're looking to fill this month. And veterans had a motor vehicle operator vacate today due to a resignation. And that was it for the backfills.
Okay. Moving on to building maintenance helper resignation.
Oh, yeah, we're here.
That's right at the bottom.
Yeah.
Okay.
Actually, I wanna bring up the Health and Human Services item that was moved from, or the actually the youth positions that was moved from Health and Human
Okay.
Services first. So youth requested to add a pool of 15 laborers at a grade 7 to the staffing pattern. And they do have the funds and they wanted to utilize this position until the funds were depleted. So we're looking to add those positions to the staffing pattern.
You have a motion to move those to staffing pattern?
This is ahead of the budget. We're gonna do that in this year, is what you're saying.
Yeah, we're gonna add it now. And then when she probably won't fill them right away,
Oh, dear.
but we wanted it done ahead of time.
Jim moves it. Do we have a second? Yes. Is there any discussion?
I don't understand, why are we doing this? Just, I need, well, you need to catch me up on this.
I believe that was a grant, correct, from Health and Human Services, that she had a grant that was going to pay for those positions.
It was youth employment, so I think it was something she did in the past, but now the funding's coming to her. So
It
she's
used to go
actually
through
paying
leave.
them,
It used
right,
to go through leave, and now
Right.
it's gonna come to her office, so.
right.
And she has actually the administration fee herself to use towards actual employment because they do their own end.
Right.
That was the crux.
What do you do with 15 laborers?
Use them as
It's just-
youth that are
Well,
being
they were-
employed as.
They were
as
being employed all the time
needed.
anyway. She just needs them because now they're directly employed under her and not under leave.
They assisted with the youth and alternative sentencing department in the summer when they went out and did
It's like
like
when
the
they paint your
cleaning
town
and stuff.
hall
And
and all
they
that
cleaned it.
So we're not just hiring people,
No.
No.
it's only, we're keeping the openings available.
Right.
You're saying for when you need.
For that
Right,
program.
right.
Okay,
And if for us to
25,000.
run it through our payroll, we need to create.
It's moved,
Yes.
it's moved over to our
I
organization.
believe, Dan, it's the same group that probably done work in your town hall when you were redoing it. You had went straight, bring it down. I think it's those people.
yeah, that's what I would
That's
want
what
to
I,
make sure.
that's what I think it is.
Not the same people.
And
they
it's,
tried
and
to-
it's
Well, might-
now
they
in
might've
the
got
county.
older.
Yeah,
Hopefully they moved
Because
on.
when they dragged it east and they might have stayed young.
Don't want to go.
so we had a motion, I think.
Yeah, we got a second. That was our discussion. Is there any other discussion? All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed? Carried. Now we're on to,
Yeah, the next item was moved from government ops. It was the employee handbook requests. So we can actually start with, in your packet, you should have a yellow sheet 7.002 proposed in yellow. So that was moved from government ops for the change to the vacation schedule.
And that's in the employee handbooks that
Yes.
applies to non-union.
So what this schedule would do is replace the 3 that we currently have in the handbook and make one schedule.
Accelerating.
Yeah, wait a minute.
by 5 days, actually. At year 1, year 5.
Yep.
10 and 15,
But total cap receives.
at 30, yes.
It keeps the up and down from happening.
Yes.
Correct.
I was. Right.
And how much can they carry over?
So it's in the employee handbook right now that an employee, if unable to use their vacation time, and the department head verifies that, because employees are supposed to use the time that they have or lose it, they can request to roll over up to 5 days, and that can be approved by either the personnel officer or county administrator. More than that, it has to come to committee and then to the personnel committee for final approval.
Um, 0 to 6 months, you get 5 days vacation. Now, does that mean on day 2 of my employment, I could take 5 days off?
Yes.
If your department head approves that,
Right. And then at the end of 6 months, in 1 day, I get another 5 days.
yes. You get a total
What-
of 10 days your first year.
Well, I voted no in government ops on this, pretty sure I did. And I don't understand the 0 to 6 months. Do you think that's gonna help hire employees?
It has helped. We had comments from quite a few employees, new hires, when they did their enrollment process through personnel, that, they had other things already scheduled. So they would start employment, but it doesn't mean that they didn't already have a wedding they were committed to go to or a family vacation. So that has helped employees. I think we've had positive feedback from new hires.
Well, sure you get positive feedback. I mean, you know that.
I mean,
It's kind of built in.
I can't support that. I'm sorry.
I mean,
Chairman,
We've had to do that a couple of times, hire people.
Right.
Our department head, they come in and say, hey, I've got, I'm leaving.
But that's a little different. with
Job
the
with-
department head.
Well, but it applies to anyone. I'm leaving a job, I got, 20 days vacation here and we're, we got a destination wedding in Hawaii, I think was one of them. And we have, turned around and just given it to them. So not something we haven't done pretty routinely in the past. As long as our department heads are controlling it, I don't see any real problem with it. They're not gonna walk in, 1 day and take 5 days off. Because the department head's not gonna let them, you're here.
And just to clarify, that's not a change that's being brought
No,
now. You've
that
already
one's-
approved that in the past.
that one's
so
already
right,
been.
Yes.
Jake?
And Melissa, with the increased amount of time off, if you poll the department heads to see how manageable this will be for them?
I did mention it at the last department head meeting, to see if anyone had concerns as far as coverage, or if this could any way be detrimental to their operations in their departments, because I didn't want them to be surprised and then come back and tell me, hey, I can't even manage that. So I did, and I did not get any negative feedback from department heads. Again, this will just apply to the non-union employees. Any union would have to negotiate a change to their schedules.
Cassie, did you?
I think Dana was that.
Oh, sorry.
When somebody's getting hired right now, what's the policy? Let's say somebody says, I'll take the job, but I need 4 days off in September.
It would be the department head. They would have to see if the department's able to grant that to them. They do get the 5 days at hire, but again, it would have to be the department head's decision to allow it to.
I already built it.
Cassie?
I was just gonna say, the last time I got a job beside this one, where I wasn't my own boss, was 35 years ago, and I got this up to 5 days. First 10 days then, so I can't believe this hasn't been happening right along. I haven't applied for a job.
Well, that isn't new.
I mean, that's what I'm saying, is this isn't new, 35 years ago when I applied for a position off the farm where I wasn't my own boss, I should go back to that.
Give you some days.
I'm still got all my things I got done for you. Right. My concern's on how quick they get to 30 days. And the reason being is we like people to stay from 15 to 30, but if you actually had that group stay, 30 days, you're talking, 8 employees, you need another employee for everyone that's over the age of 30 to get the same work done. So at some point, you have to add employees to cover that kind of work. If you had 10 employees on that, you're adding people, you've got them. So that's where my concern is on the other end. I think it just ramps up too fast, and I don't think many people can take 30 days. I mean, I get told here that I'm always gone on a cruise and I never take 30 days off in a year. It doesn't happen. I haven't got that much time. So 30 days is a lot of days. But
I think you did say this, your supervisors have to approve every vacation request.
The department heads approved, yes, vacation
Okay.
requests for their.
So it's possible, Bob, that they could do it strategically so that they might not need to add employees, maybe during a slow time or something like that. It's possible.
Again, back in the day, even way back then, there were lots of times, depending on what your job was and what your department was, that you couldn't, because it was too busy in that time, and you know, when you worked for a crop company, there were no vacation from May to July. It wasn't allowed, and then there was none again in the fall. And I would think, you know, the same thing, seniority wants to play a part too, like for the summer vacations and whatnot. I would think if you have a lot of 15-year plus employees with 30 days vacation, you have more problems because you have a lot of people who can be done if they've been here for 15 years. They're starting to, especially if they don't come here till they're in their 30s, they're looking to retire. That's a bigger problem than how many days vacation they have.
Yeah, I think one of the other things, I can only speak for my fire department, I can't speak for other places. But I do know that within that age category that you normally have, that would fall within the 30-day thing. A lot of them want to volunteer to be firemen, or they want to volunteer to work on a rescue squad. A lot of the mandatory training that they have is done during the daytime by the state. So, you know, you really can't serve two masters. And we're finding out on youth programs that are in the towns, which have difficulty getting people to work in them because of their work schedules and about the time that's involved. At 30 days, and coming from an organization that got 30+ days, you know, a year for the military, as Daryl can relate to, sometimes you didn't get a chance to utilize those days, and they only carried over to 60 days on the books. But we're not carrying any of these over, so the 30 days a year that you got, you use it, you lose it. You start the process all over again. But it gives us something to get this, the season, I think it gives us something to get the seasoned employee here who's been a good employee. We're certainly not going to give them more money. Yes, it costs us indirectly, it costs us money, but we already have this money figured into the budget. They're not going to be here maybe productively doing something, but hopefully they're recharging the batteries. You know, we're not going to have money left over to take next year if they take the week off or if they take the week to work it. Because you've already got that figured in the budget, we're going to pay them if they're here or not here. And if the department heads are doing their job and they cleaned out the right way, there should not be a large drop off in what their production is from all their employees. Yeah.
Many holidays do the employees have?
On the
13 holidays a year.
Well, 12, right?
12, yeah, 12. 12 right now, and some have a floating holiday. Maybe there's-
you have a month off a year. 7 days. Charles, come out.
On 15, when you get to the 15 years, you really are spending 4 days a week.
Excuse me, Charles has a question.
And I know we're looking at these things one at a time, but at an overall kind of picture, the standard workday is 252 days a year. We take 12, we're at 240. We take 25 days out. So they're working 90% of the time. And then when I look at my New York State retirement contribution is 17%. My national social security, I'm paying for every $10, I'm paying an extra $5 for the total usage because they're already brought down. I do need to be mindful that when you talk about money, it isn't all money. If a $50,000 employee is a $75,000 employee.
Good point.
And one of the reasons I brought this to government ops, there's a couple of reasons. The first reason, just refresh everyone's memories, was because we have 3 schedules currently in employee handbook. I'm trying to make it so that we have one schedule instead of three, so we don't have three different classes of employees, all non-union. The other thing was to make it something that enhances the current schedule so that employees that we have that have been working here for years have some kind of benefit that they feel is really worth them staying as employees of Washington County. Obviously, our salary is not the most competitive with our surrounding counties, so to give a little bit more with the benefits, I think might be something that entices people to stay. There is a cost related to losing employees. As we know, the turnover with paying, training and new employees, and there's a huge cost to that as well. So if we keep the people we have, I just think that's a benefit.
So if there's no further discussion, if by a show of hands, we have a vote, see if we're gonna move this to the full board or where we are at it. All in favor? Raise your hand, please. Aye. 1, 2, 3, 4. Gee, was that?
Yeah, yes,
Yes,
yes.
yes. Okay, so that's 5, then we got, no's, please. Dan?
Right. I just think we're gonna pay for this
Gonna hire.
if we don't foresee, and I think we'll actually get people retired sooner.
I'm sorry, I stand corrected. That will not go to the full board. That will not go to the full board. Let's back it up. Okay.
Bring in more.
That was my-
But that,
Yes, Deb.
that just a straw vote. I mean, there was no motion.
There was no motion.
Oh, I'm
I
sorry.
thought you
I thought we had a motion in a second.
Yeah.
Before we did discussion.
I thought you moved it, I seconded it.
You did.
Oh,
Yeah.
all right. Sorry.
I thought we had. Okay. So I believe that was 5 yeses and 2 no's. Yeah. That was correct. Okay, now we're on to the next.
So the next item is the section 7.001, which is proposed in yellow. So what this would do is add back the floating holiday for all non-union employees. Right now, it's stating that anyone hired on or after January 1st of 2012 is not eligible. So we wanted to kind of remove that and make it consistent for all of the non-union employees to add that floating holiday back.
We're adding it back.
Yeah.
Just,
I would take
Why
out
can't we just
everybody.
take it away?
Consistency.
And we just gave them vacation. I think they can lose this. Take it away.
We just gave
We
5
just
bump
gave-
days.
Yeah,
So
we got
during-
compromise on life. We gave them the vacation and floating holiday.
Oh, what a different two now being said.
well, your problem is you got people already getting 25 and 30 days, you're taking one day away from them. That's, you're taking away from your senior employees. I don't know the answer.
I'm not.
You win some,
We'll
you
take
lose
away.
some.
No, if they, with that route, to take it away, they said take it away from everybody instead of giving it to the ones that aren't getting it.
Okay.
So if you
Is
do
that a
that.
Was
you're-
that a motion? I'll second
Isn't that what you said?
That's what I said. I'm sorry if it seems bad, but I mean, we just gave them a nice vacation. See, you don't,
So not every employee is going to benefit from the vacation schedule that was just approved by the employees that have already have 25 or 30 years. Won't be gaining anything, unless they stay another year or two and they're not gonna see it go back to 25 and up to 30 and back to 25 again. That's what they're gonna benefit.
But they're not really, I guess they're not really losing it, because I don't know how many of them can take 30 days now, so. I think you're probably right. Why add another one on it when? Yeah,
You're curious, how many sick days these people got?
You accumulate one sick day a month, depending on when you've been hired. If you were hired before 2012, then you get the one sick day a month, plus you get one extra day in January and one extra day in July. And we're trying to make it so that we have one schedule instead of 2 to 3 different classes of employees with different schedules. That's why we're bringing this forward, is to just try to get one template for non-union.
man, I should just.
Run those numbers and you're down to 3.5 days.
none of us are here for all these different.
You're getting over
Geez,
50
so-
days worth of paid off time.
4 days to get off. Definitely.
That's if you use the sick days. We used to have a limit of, I think, 200, and I'm well over that at this.
I get them if I'm in the hospital. That's it. Don't rely on your sick day. How about you, Mike? Oh, you had surgery. You just. Come on.
I'll make you soft if you had surgery.
Hey.
Where's that?
You watch what you say here, Brian. You don't know how that operation is gonna come out yet.
If it goes really bad, I won't be back.
Exactly.
So there's a big difference between vacation time and sick time. Sick time isn't supposed to be used unless it's a qualifying event
Right.
for sick time. Sick time, there's a benefit to retiring with sick time on the books, because that could be counted towards your retirement. It's not something that's supposed to be used as days off, during the month.
But we know
unless
it
you're
is
sick.
sometimes.
Well, I would hope not.
No, we know it is.
Well, maybe you do, but I.
Well, they can't disappear as quick as you get them and you not know it. I mean, that's
Well, then that's a
reality.
management issue.
right.
If
But
that's
that's
happening in the
reality.
department, it's a management.
Well, you gonna take their temperature? I mean, if
No,
someone
but
takes their
we-
sick day, you can't go
Department
and say,
heads
"No,
are
you're not sick."
responsible for looking at their attendance of their
Yeah.
employees, so if you have attendance issues, the department head should be addressing that.
And they do,
We've
They
had
do
instances
address
of
that,
that abuse and, discipline for it.
yeah.
I think it's been managed quite well by the
Mhm.
department heads in most cases.
But nothing we're voting on here, that's.
Yeah, Jim.
So right now,
That
it's,
was not
it's
bad.
adding back the floating holiday for section 7.001. If that's something you wanna do. And if not, we can leave it as is and just.
Sorry, you're gonna shoot me when I walk
Jay
down
had
the
a
hallway
comment.
later on.
But it was for consistency to get, to have everybody.
Deb, I'd hate to put you on the spot, but you're kind of in the situation what Melissa talked about. You already have the max days and you'd be losing a day. Does this make you angry or?
You can't take the day away from people that care for.
Right, you can't take it away. So that's what you said to keep.
Oh, I couldn't see that.
Whatever rule you were hired under, you have to still apply that rule, so. The people who have the floating holiday, you can't remove it from them, because that was the rule when they were hired. All you can do is change it forward, you can't change it back.
So nobody's gonna lose
So you
it.
get rescind your.
We're done.
Right, you
There-
can't take an action. to take
You
it
can't
away.
make it happen.
Right.
So I can't make it happen, what can I do? I can't make the
You
people
can-
that.
No,
had it
you
a
can't,
long
because
time
you're
ago
doing away
use it,
going forward.
But I can get rid of it going forward.
It's already
It's already gone.
It's already gone.
Good.
2009. Anybody hired after
We were fighting
2009
about this
doesn't have.
before, about not saying you didn't get it.
Daryl,
You gave me a different.
Daryl has
one.
the floor. Daryl?
So what I'm hearing is don't change.
That's what you're.
No action taken.
No action.
No action.
Well, that's her, and I seconded
So
her.
you'll have to pull your.
No.
You
I
still
have
have
to
an
rescind
opportunity
But they tell me I can't.
to oppose.
I
She just
I
pulled
don't-
her.
I have to pull it, cause
disagree.
Al told me I can't do it.
I don't disagree with the premise that, we just, in our consistency quest for vacations, we gave them a pretty good package. So in terms of adding another holiday, to everybody, I don't know if that's necessary. Doing my vacation files that we use.
And that's,
My recommendation might be to, just leave it as it's written today. Which effectively takes it away from employee after.
It doesn't take it away from anybody.
No, right, people after hired a certain day just don't get it.
Yes.
see, and you were worried we did something to the long-term people, but
Yeah.
now the long-term
Actually,
people have.
2009, it took it away. Oh, I think it's in 2012. Well, there was another, there were more actions taken in 2012 that actually gave back some of the time. 2009, they took the sick days down to 8. 2012 gave that back, moved it from 8 to 12. It was reaffirmed in 2012, the original reduction.
So Brian and Dave did that.
So 2009 was the original
When you-
reduction.
So sort that one out.
You got a good memory, guys.
No, there's one thing, you're longer than me. That wasn't it.
Okay, should we have a motion here one way or the other?
No,
No motions?
no motion.
No motions. Okay. I'm not tabling it or anything, we're just, it died as it is.
Guys,
Okay, no motion, that's where we are, right on the line.
The next item is section 7.003. It's it's based on the January 1st, 2012. Anyone prior to that has the 1 sick day per month that they can accrue. And this would be adding a sick day in January and sick day in July, which the people prior to 2012 received.
But was taken away in 2012,
Yes.
2009.
Or 2000.
about 2009. Can I ask a question is why was this taken away? And why are we wanting to put it back? If we have our retention straightened out, why are we
So
just,
that's, I can't tell you why it was taken away. I wasn't here.
Reaction to the 2008 crisis. We were doing a lot of the work with a lot less people because you had to, you couldn't afford it. And it was prior to tier 6 coming in and screwing up everything else.
well, then if it was taken away for the very reason that you're saying it's gonna drive up in employment, or employees, that's the reason it was taken away. Then we'd be shooting ourselves in the foot if we want to drive up costs for employees now by adding it back in again. And you've given us quite a lecture on.
Well, the
what our
more
budget-
you
Right,
give, the more it costs.
Right,
Even if you
I'm-
can't see
I'm
it
agreeing with
today,
you.
you'll
So,
see it in 3 to 5 years.
yeah,
So I don't know what we wanna do or give. But at the same point, if you can't hire, because they don't, there's a happy medium somewhere, I don't know where it is, so.
And there's a big difference between the employment in 2009 and the benefits and what we're seeing right now. With tier
Yes.
5 and tier 6 being implemented, it's less of a benefit for employees. We've seen that in different counties across the state. And as far as retention, we've done a pretty good job, I think, retaining most of our employees. We've had some leave for higher paying jobs. Our civil service lists are still not what I'm comfortable with. I mean, when you're given a civil service exam for a position that used to have 100 applicants, 100 people that want a job, and now you have 3. That's concerning to me. If we can't fill those positions, I'm not quite sure how we're gonna continue giving the services that we are giving, but, you know, that's down the road. I guess I'm trying to just be a little bit ahead of the game, so that we can retain who we have and keep people wanting to be employed here.
Dave?
So I remember doing it in 2012. It was reaction. You know, we're also facing the same budget prices, probably even worse than we were before. Are we looking at the fact that healthcare is going to go up substantially next year? 31%, but it's about 30%. You know, retirement costs don't go up. They're talking about they're changing tier 6 retirement to make people tier 4 again. So we're just going back to the same condition we were in 2012. If they do roll back to tier 6, which I think they're probably going to, because they're not retaining people and they're not attracting people. And that was the biggest thing that really attracted people to government was 20, the retirement, tier 4 retirement.
And you made a good point, Dave. The health insurance is gonna go up as a result of usage. So we certainly don't want people coming to work sick. You know, it's best they stay home and get paid for that rather than coming and affecting half the organization. And we have more claims and stuff going on the health insurance. So, I mean, there's other ways to look at this other than, you know, they get a time off because you're sick. And the fact of the matter is, you know, we just assume you're sick to begin with if they call in sick. You know, you don't go visit them at the house to see if they're home or do anything else. It's right. I mean, it is what it is. Yes, Chairman.
Yes, to all the above. However, it just seems somehow patently unfair to have different classes of employees here. As well as being, I think, an administrative nightmare. Why don't we treat everybody the same?
40 years from now, it will. 40 years from now, well.
Yeah.
I think it'd be less than that.
And this is sickly, this is stuff they, you know, you usually have something catastrophic, otherwise you save it, but for the end, you know. I retired with, thanks to sick leave, I've been giving it away for years.
Well, the only thing that we gotta also look at, and I don't, yes to all of the above. What you're saying, I don't disagree with that, but we're driving costs up for the county. And we're facing real concerns about future budgets and sales tax revenue and rising taxes. And we're talking about the younger generation leaving because it's too expensive to live in Washington County. This goes both ways. That's the thing. And so, yes, it's hard to decide what's the right move. But man, if it isn't broken and the potential is to raise taxes, I'm saying leave it home. That's all. Other than that, you're gonna raise taxes. And can we afford to keep raising taxes for a problem, a potential problem? That's all. I mean, and so I don't have a crystal ball. I could be completely wrong in my thinking. But I feel good about it, that I'm headed what I think is a safe bet versus the big gamble and have taxes get out of control.
I guess the bigger concern is are people coming in sick because they don't have enough days. That would be, because that's where the money would be better spent and let them stay at home. If you have people actually doing that. I'm afraid we have more people that don't come in for whatever reason, and it's just because they're sick, but I don't know that.
I don't think 2 days a year is gonna make a difference.
And what might surprise you coming from me is that, and again, I can't speak for all departments, but changing the amount of sick days wouldn't change anything in my office as a manager. I won't incur one more cost in my operation by giving 2 more sick days to my after 2009 employees. I'm not one of the 24/7 operations, so I don't have to fill a seat when it's empty. And all of our 24/7 operations are union contracts. This is only non-union
So it's
people.
not even covered that.
So none of our non-union people are 24/7 seated people. And again, I can't speak to every department, but I don't know that you would see an increase in cost, because you're not gonna pay them more than what was in the budget to pay them. They don't get their day plus a sick day, they get a sick day. So it's like, I'm trying to wrap my head around the increased cost argument for non-union employees.
In our contracts, I believe, I give more.
There's
Any
varying,
days.
there's
Yeah,
variations
but I
in
don't
those
know,
contracts.
but I don't know
already.
that any of them give less.
Right, so this is, I just want to be clear, that this is a non-union segment of our population. And I can't think of a department that would need to fill a seat if somebody called in sick in the non-union category. So I don't know that it's fair to say there's increased costs. And if somebody from my office was to call in sick, they would just try to catch up the next day they come back to work. And we've been doing that for as long as I've been here. That's not a new concept.
Jen?
And not to, not exactly on the subject of the extra 2 days, but more to Dan's comment. When we negotiate our highway contract, we give them the option at the end of the year, if they want to bank their sick days or if they want to cash out on them. And, if somebody's got 5-6 days, maybe they're looking at buying a new car and maybe they want that extra cash in their pocket. So you don't end up with people with banked and banked and banked, and you're still gonna pay it out at the end of the day anyway. So I'm just throwing that out there.
So we only pay out over the 200, over the 165 days. So if you leave here with 160 days sick time, it costs the county zero. We only pay the difference between the 165 and the 205. We pay 25% of that. So the max the county's ever on the hook for is 5 days, the max. And that's if you maxed out all of your sick time.
Would your opinion change if we double the number?
Double the,
Just double the numbers instead of doing June, or what is it, say January,
January, July.
Make that 2 and add 2 for every month. Does that change your opinion?
If you did it quarterly instead of.
I mean, just double everything. Give them double the sick time.
So
Give them double the vacation.
sick time bothers me less than vacation time, because if I'm a proper manager, people aren't abusing their sick time and only calling in sick when they are sick. So I see sick time and vacation time very different, because you're going to use your vacation.
So
I
you'd
hope
be
that you
okay
never
with
need your
doubling
sick,
the sick. Yes, that's-
in the hopes that you never need it. And that you only use it if you are sick.
And again, anyone abusing sick time
Should be addressed.
should be handled by the department, which in my opinion, they are handling.
In every case.
From what I've seen, yes.
But you only see it when it's. being
And I
handled.
see it when it's handled, right?
The only way to control abusing sick time is require a sick slip every single time you go on sick leave.
I mean, you can require a doctor's note. A department head can ask for a doctor's note
A lot of that's spelled out in the union
Yeah.
contracts.
and in the
There's
handbook
parameters
as
for
well.
that.
But who knows if they're abusing or not, they can say they were sick, kids are sick or something.
Harold, you have something?
Yeah, in terms of the budget statement made, 205, that last paragraph leads me to believe that it was changed.
205 is the change, it used to be 200.
No, it says unlimited.
So over the 205 is the long-term sick bank that Melissa brought you. That's not ever part of the buyout calculation. The buyout calculation is maxed at the 5 days, period. That has not changed. What
This-
Melissa brought you, I think last year
That
was
part just isn't written
the
in.
days over the 205 go into like that,
So you don't
Into your
lose
bucket.
sick time,
right.
right? 'Cause
So
we had-
like as
It's
you
not, it's not
age,
ever part of your buyout calculation.
the reason was as you age, you may have more sickness. Where you're not using your sick time, you're banking it, but then you may have issues when
And it
you're
would be
older
pretty
employed
catastrophic.
and you can have that,
You'd have to be out 205 days before those days even kicked in.
right?
So it would have to be pretty catastrophic to even.
And
tap
what
that.
led up to that change back then was that he had long-term employees that had been here for a substantial length of time, and they maxed out their sick time. So then they were seeing it accumulate, and then it was being wiped out. So they were actually, there was no benefit to them to not use their sick time, because they were actually seeing given, and then we were taking it away because we had a max number on there. So we just made it so that, it's not, you don't have the max number, you can accumulate, and hopefully you never need it. But you're only getting paid out for that limited amount.
The buyout's never more than 5 days.
Right.
What is the number of sick days that you can accumulate in a year?
12 for some, 14 for others.
And how many people use all those sick days, percentage wise?
I'd like to know that. Good question.
Yeah, I can find out.
I mean, is it 1 or 2? Is it 10%? Is it 20%? I mean, what are we talking? Do we have any idea?
I think it's really hard to gauge that because you have employees that are out for a catastrophic illness that may
Yeah.
have been here for 5 years or 20 years.
All right,
So maybe they have the max amount and then unfortunately their situation caused them to be out of work for long, so they've run to zero.
right,
I've seen that a few times
Yeah.
since I've been employed here.
That's an outlier.
yeah, that,
Throw out the outlier.
yeah, you could pick those right out.
People,
They
have
wouldn't be
sick
more
time
than
in their bank.
5 or 6.
most of our employees, I would say, have sick time in their bank.
It'd be pretty easy to know if it's 12 to 14 days.
Right.
Yeah.
What's the average number
Well-
used a year? You could run that without knowing any of the history.
I think
Is
if
it
we
normal
had that,
5, is it normal?
I might be way more comfortable doing this if we had that information. But right now, I don't see it.
I'm curious, it came up once that there is banking and you can help your fellow employees if they run out of sick time, that people that have an abundance of it could actually share some of those sick time.
You can't
That's
donate sick time,
vacation.
you donate vacation.
Vacation time. Not sick.
Is there, could there be a policy that you could donate sick time? Because that could solve the problem.
I don't know the answer to that. He's going in.
That to me is I would be hesitant to go down that road. Because if you're asking somebody to give up their vacation time, it's a whole different mental concept than if you're asking somebody to give up. You've got somebody who's got 205 sick days, they're gonna be pretty free with their donation. I don't know that you can constrict the abuses that might occur from that. For vacation time, actually, you have skin in the game and you'll think before you head down that road. So I like that it's vacation days now. I think that it keeps everybody accountable.
We have a motion.
So what are we actually looking at? How many days are there now? How many days are we going?
That's when you were hired.
Right, and what was that? What was that number?
After 09, you have 12 days.
Okay,
Prior
It
to,
was restored in 2012.
prior to, you'd have 12 days and then 1 in January and 1 in July. So you'd have 14.
so it's just 12 or 14 is really what's the choice. is.
Yes.
It's the 2 days, the difference.
Can we wait and see what this other information? When
We
you
can
look
bring it
into that,
back
Bring
next
it back
month.
next month.
yeah,
Bring it back, yeah.
Okay.
Happy day at work today.
And we'll be able to change that.
Well, it's-
It's gonna be an interesting.
I don't know how we're gonna.
It's not gonna be-
So the answer is yes, if we can do it, no, if they can't, we're gonna try to figure out how to do it.
okay.
If they can do it.
Well, this is, I mean, it's tracked on your pay stub, isn't it, what you got left carried over and all that? Isn't there? I'm-
What is
But
it you
I'm
would
trying
like?
to
What are the
ascertain
numbers
how,
you're looking?
how to measure
They're looking for the average number of sick
where the
time.
abuses are. That's gonna be an interesting exercise.
What
You can look at what somebody has in their bank and what they would have had if they used no days. And look at that variance report, but that, I don't know that that tells a story that you want either.
Give us the percentage that use none, the percentage that use them all, and what the average day is. That you-
And that's
I
gonna
think
be a
that
very manual process for 536 employees.
Really?
There's not a report that does.
Really?
Don't do it, I vote
No,
no. Don't do it.
I'm not,
I'll
I'm
just vote
not,
no, so it makes it easy for me.
I'm not arguing against it.
Okay, no, but I understand what, but I'm hearing that what you're saying, it's gonna be,
It's a manual process.
it makes
That's
it easy for me to just say no.
I'm afraid that the information we get you just isn't gonna be real accurate.
Would
because
have to
we
be
have-
accurate. You would know if they took 0 days, you'd know if they took all the days. That's the either or.
No, what I'm
Yeah, so that'd be
referring
really
to
quick.
is you have years when we have a lot of sickness, a lot of, cancer, long-term.
Just use the last year.
But the other thing you have to
Also, yeah,
consider
it's-
is that if you don't use your personal days, they become sick days at your anniversary date. So you could conceivably get another 3 days per year if you don't use your personal time.
And and part of me is, like, we gave the vacation policy and everybody was saying, maybe it's not fair to the people that have been here a long time, but we let them keep their floating holiday and we let them keep their 2 extra sick days, then we are doing an extra perk for people who've been here forever. When somebody said they thought we weren't fair to them when we did the vacation policy.
Okay, so then I guess we move on to the next thing on the agenda.
I'm gonna agree with everything you said.
Man,
Other than your first vote. I didn't agree. What else?
So the last section is 7.008, which was also, government ops. It's to, add to the eligibility in retirement. It was the items in yellow that are on that page. The employee must retire with the New York State Local Retirement System directly from employment with Washington County. And an employee 62 or older must have 10 consecutive years of eligible service with Washington County. An employee must have 20 consecutive years of eligible service with Washington County, or an employee must have 25 cumulative eligible years of service with Washington County. Also,
remember the basic gist of this one is we're saying for those like people that we're hiring for department heads or whatnot, or down the line that are way into their working career.
You're gonna
Then
50 years
they're gonna get
Right.
health
If you
insurance.
come to work for us at 50 years of age.
50's young now,
Right.
right? From our perspective.
I did include the eligibility section in your packet. It's the last page in your packet too, to know where it says see employees eligible. That's included in your packet too.
Yeah, I was trying to do the visual for that.
I will move this. We had a pretty good discussion.
Okay, we have a motion, we have a second, motion by Jay, second by Zero. Is there any discussion? Dan?
How much more cost will this put on the county? Do you know, does anybody
3
know
years,
what?
it's 3 years worth of cost from 62 to 65, right? It's the most it costs.
No. the highest cost is during those 3 years.
Okay.
Then at 65, you become Medicare eligible, it'll be just you and not your spouse, at a very much cheaper plan. Because you know, the Medicare Advantage plan,
You still have to
$270
pay
or whatever.
So 10 years in and it's gonna cost the county something for each one of those employees got 10 years or more.
Anybody who meets that criteria and takes it,
Yeah,
the county would be on the hook for their claims for those 3 years. And then 75% of their premium for the years thereafter for just them and not their spouse.
right.
So there are
Right,
actual
so
dollars involved.
So you're talking a big number when you're done.
But at that one, reason I can swallow that one is because what the hope is, if you're bringing somebody in later in life, that they're more seasoned, more experienced, more qualified, and they're stepping into the position we need.
You know to show up.
That one, yeah, you know, show up to our headline.
No, but
No,
you
that's
gotta,
would
everything
be
is
why.
cost, calculate out the cost, is all I'm saying. If we're spending money here today, we shouldn't have a rough idea of what we're spending. I mean, it's great. We all feel good every time we vote to do all this. But if you don't have a cost, how do you decide when you gotta stop feeling good and be more
I
concerned
guess I
about?
look at it a different way that on this one, because I don't think we bring in a huge amount of people after 50. So to get 10 years, you gotta be here by the time you're 52. So I don't know that we're bringing them in that late. A lot of them still have the ability to get to 20. I would think that's a very small percentage. But it might be people that are important for us to hire.
Department heads from now.
Right, I think that's where it enters in more.
Dave?
I'm just gonna make the same point Jay did was, when department heads coming in, maybe 45 or 50 employees come in. If they're 50 and we only retain them, they're already municipal employees, it's gonna be hard to attract them if they don't have the benefit healthcare.
Okay, Charles,
I
sorry.
just have a question on the definition of years of service. This is the same as the ROA filled out years of service.
Actual calendar service,
Just calendar years, you can be a 25% employee.
they're not eligible. You have to be a full-time employee to be eligible for health insurance, except for you.
I was gonna
Except for
say,
four.
so if you're here 10 years, you qualify for.
So that's very interesting in my calendar.
I think that's.
Trying to figure out.
You 17 are the only part-timers.
Right, that's.
That answer your question, Charles?
That was on the eligibility.
You might be full-time.
So even if the supervisors are working 20%, that counts as an eligible year.
Yes, sir.
Like this.
Now you know how that got written in.
Yeah.
Years ago.
Started his reelection campaign.
Okay, so we had a motion, we had a second, we had discussion. All in favor, aye? Opposed?
Yeah.
Carried. Is there anything else for the personnel committee? Anyone else has it? Then we stand adjourned. Brian, it's yours.
We better
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Okay. Treasurer.
Everybody got their packet in front of them?
Yes.
Nope, it's really up to them.
I interrupted that. It's my fault.
Those ones. Fine, I guess.
No, that was still there. I was thinking we were moving.
Don't get
I don't,
Treasurer.
Please hold. It's very important.
I'll get back when I care.
Right, so there's not, I know it breaks your heart, but there's not a lot of to report this month. The sales tax continues to trend as strong, as it has been. We took a small dip on the second deposit, but overall, we're still $954,000 above this time last year. I was fortunate enough to be invited to the last inter-county that they had up at Essex County. And, NICEAG had a very nice presentation about sales tax, and we're one of the few counties in the state that are under a new, a new norm, so to speak. We're kind of riding a different wave than some of the other counties. And again, we've talked about this, for years now, since the internet sales changed. That, we kind of, with lack of brick and mortar places, we benefited maybe more than the average bear with the online ordering. What's gonna be interesting is they changed what's called their NICS codes, that the feds conduct everything under. So there will no longer be a category for the internet sales. So we're going to lose the ability to track that as a category. That's all now gonna be blended into your retail establishments, whether it's online or brick and mortar. So, the government in its infinite wisdom took away some of our measurement to be able to tell where the growth is. Our number one growth continues to be auto sales in Washington County. That hasn't changed. But we've been watching the internet sales tick up about a couple times a year, I do a top 10 for you. And we continue to watch that tick up. Problem is, I will no longer be able to measure that for you, that they've taken that away. So you may say growth now in your retail sales. You're just gonna have to remember that when I present that retail sales now includes the internet stuff that was previously sliced out of there. There's some interesting things in the marketplace that make me a little bit nervous. I got a retailer that has filed Chapter 11. I'm not, I don't panic too bad because a lot of times Chapter 11 is just a way to reorganize debt and everything. So, but it's not a great sign when you see any kind of bankruptcy filing for a large retailer that's in your county. So we'll patiently await how that plays out. I know they've closed some of their stores already in an effort to try to restructure their business model. But
And with internet sales also came Dollar General, all of our local towns. I mean, so we got a boost both ways that other areas didn't get. And of course, now you see the chains leaving, is TGI Fridays, a couple others are just gone. And that's probably gonna help the other, even though they weren't here, like surrounding counties, that'll probably actually enhance what's left.
Could we complain about them changing the codes?
Yeah.
Somebody we could complain to or lobby for?
you think the state's hard to deal with, try the feds.
No, I understand that, but
So it's the feds.
So you can't keep track.
I wonder what they're trying to hide, that they're gonna steal from us that we can't watch.
Well, they don't want you to break it down to a certain business is what they're really doing.
I'm not sure what the reason is.
Wow. Julian, wait,
Is it worse,
think of this
trying to get nice tag or somebody to protest it, or they associate towns protesting?
And they made it sound like they should,
Like all the time.
they made it sound like they should have sales, but I mean, there's no harm in
Well,
asking.
if it's still one, like, turn around, still back.
Sure. I mean, there's never harm in asking.
I'm just wondering, you're putting together, right? Stuff this year, there's something we ought to.
Sure, certainly worth asking to see what the reaction.
The results of no action is no action, so if you try something, at least you have a
Well,
chance.
that's kind of what I was thinking, but
If you don't do anything, the answer is no.
a lot of things that way.
That was the answer to yes.
Very good. And then everything else is trending pretty well. You'll hear, you've heard everything at nauseam during the budget workshops, and Brian's budget presentation was pretty well done, I thought. They told you what you needed to know. I can't really add or subtract from that. I think you have the tools that you need to move forward. One thing I do want to talk about during this section, if you don't mind, with the chairman's indulgence. Last Thursday, we finally got our court date with the judge to hear the delinquent tax properties. Dan and I have been patiently waiting for a while, and we get on when we can get on. The case was heard Thursday, and we got our court orders in place. So I immediately reached out to the auctioneer. His concern is the time of year, because he's gonna need, with the amount of properties that we have this time, he's gonna need extra time to get the signage done, visit the properties, get the book put together, let everybody register online. You'd be pushing into the Christmas holiday by the time you ran the online auction. So what I wanted to kind of bounce off you guys was your desire or willingness to push this into maybe March of 25. To have a better participation and hopefully a better outcome from an auction that may bring a little bit more in March than it might bring in December. And I'm trusting the people who do this for a living, that this isn't my opinion.
Do you have any feel for how well we do when there's a whole lot of properties versus a few properties? Does having a million things in the auction kind of dilute the
So
pools?
unfortunately or fortunately, I've never been in this position before. Up until now, we run a pretty steady number, but because we're doing 3 years worth,
Right.
it's bigger than normal. So I haven't been in this position where we run this many properties.
It's my belief that some of these will still get paid.
If we have the auction in March instead of December, there will be people that are able to save their property. That will happen. One thing to remember is the new legislation took away any surplus for the county anyway.
Right.
So bringing, whatever surplus there is gonna go back to the owner of record under the new law anyway, so.
And I don't know, I'm just thinking out loud. December is always a good time for an auction for businesses. Because they calculate out what their income tax is gonna be. And every year there's a big $1 million machinery auction at the fairground, and they wait until between Christmas and New Year to have it so that people can take advantage of the tax structure. And these people that are buying, and this is what I don't know, people that are buying this delinquent tax property, are they in business where that's what they do and this would be an advantage to them and they'd be willing to pay more? And I'm only throwing that out because of what I see over at the fair.
I think the optics of throwing people out of their house at Christmas is probably not good, number one. So, and that's what you'd be doing if you have the tax sale right around Christmas, like.
Well, I don't know
think
how
that's
many of
probably a
these
great
tax
idea.
sales actually people are living when they
Some
go
of
off.
them, they probably are. at
The
this
letters
point.
that we sent out for the installment purchase agreements were 104. So they would be owner occupied properties.
Cause I know a lot of them, they're vacant too.
So, and it would just be my guess that the people that want to buy these and invest in them, they want kind of a quicker turnaround. Some of it's possible they're under snow, during the
No, I
winter.
mean, and
So
I don't
I would
disagree
almost
with.
I would almost think the end of March or early April is probably fits us the best. But I would actually hold the second sale for the next set in the fall and get all these off as quick as we possibly
Right,
can.
if you decided to go with a March auction, I would be looking to do 2 next year. So I would still do the normal one that would be in the fall of next year, I would still have that. So there'd be actually 2 auctions next year.
So
I agree with you, Al, I'm waiting till spring, but I also feel that with the, there is no profit for the county, but there is stagnant property that hurts towns individually. Meaning with us, the land property, because it's property that doesn't do anybody any good. And their taxes aren't collected, they are not brought back to the town, they're not brought to the county. So they sit, but even if, it's still gotta go through two auctions, right? These properties still.
For this board to even consider sale of request, it would have to go through 2 auctions unsuccessful. Correct.
It's, you know, it's an ever moving target.
Yes, ma'am.
Dana?
Dan, I think the thing you referring to is that 179 deduction doesn't apply to land.
Right.
So that's equipment different than land. That applies to depreciable assets.
Traditionally, the real estate market eats up in the spring.
And I think the people that would actually buy and refurbish a property and put on the market would want to buy when they could actually get right going and do it.
Chairman, I'll make a motion that we move it to the March timeframe if we can't do it, or auctioneer is doing it, doesn't feel he can get it done in a timely fashion. Is that?
So
what
he
we're
can
looking
do
to
it, but he wants to maximize the auction for the county. So it's his job to recommend to me what he thinks best suits
Right.
our needs. His recommendation is to wait this.
I'll second that motion to support the auctioneers.
Nate?
I was just concerned, some of these properties probably aren't as a shape, but if we go through the whole freeze cycle through the winter, how many of them are gonna have broken pipes? It's gonna diminish any kind of return on the property really at all.
Well, if they're still living in them, they're probably gonna try to keep them warm.
Living in, but if they know they're gonna be losing it, are they just gonna allow it, you know, to go? And then have all that substantial damage inside of the house?
And that's why I suggest closer to April makes more sense.
And you would
to
actually
us.
run a bigger risk of that, having the auction in December.
Yes, they
You
get
put
out
the-
now.
If you put the auction sign on their property at December 1st, they may vacate and whatever happens, happens. If you hold off till March, they're gonna stay in the house through the winter and keep
Well,
it.
I'm just saying it's some, at this time here yet. Think about.
And it's possible that some of them it's happened in the last 2 years, even, some of them may be vacant. Lance, did you have something to, or? Okay, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Here, thank you, folks. Great. Chairman, do we want to discuss the amended audit report? Is that for later to conversation?
You can do that. I'm chairman, you.
That'd be you.
Talking to
That, this
the
chair.
other chairman,
Yeah.
what do you want?
What do you want?
Raise your funeral here.
Hopefully not mine.
Brian's after tomorrow.
The audit report or something.
Oh, okay. We had a slight issue with the audit report. We all made a motion to hold the Black River bill. And we passed it out on the floor. And before we got done having the meeting, our highly efficient staff had already sent a check. So it was paid.
It was approved through audit, check was cut, and
It was
it
gone.
went in the bin. So,
You know, it was a fine grand gesture that I did out on the floor, but it was all for, you know, for naught at this point. What we have to do, I think, is have a motion here to, you know, to approve Al paying it. For kind of, maybe it's a non-proton.
so it would be I would actually need a formal action taken at the board meeting.
Right.
To include it in November's audit. Or
To amend November's audit.
So you need a motion to come with the end of that.
as long as there's board action, I just want to have a discussion today.
Well, I think if we're gonna have a, you know, we can do one or two ways. I guess I could amend the thing with another motion, just like did take it off. I think it'd probably be smoother to just have you do it here.
I'll make the motion, move it to.
Second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
I can tell you that there was substantial conversations with the district in the interim. They're very aware of our stance, and we're now very aware of their
Yeah,
stance.
they were gonna come.
It wasn't gonna end well.
One piece of information that was new information, our belief that the contract settlement had expired, it was not approved. So that was a little bit of new information that we didn't have. So that the agreement is still active and in place. So that's information that was different than,
Well, it's
We
two
had-
different things. The court order is still in place, even though they had given us a 5-year contract at the number.
the stipulation for
So
settlement
It's
is
still there,
still in
yeah, so
place.
it's a whole different. So what we tried to do originally 2 years ago, we were right, and everyone that came and told us we were wrong lied to us.
And now we didn't pay it, but we paid it.
Right.
So it
Well,
all,
we found out
it
we
all
were
comes
paying,
out in the wash, doesn't
we
it?
did find out we were paying either way. They were
So
either gonna
we will
withhold
probably
something or.
be, we'll probably be reviewing our internal process for issuing payments going forward. But with 1,100 vouchers going through audit, we kind of hit the ground running Friday morning when you all meet, so that vendors are paid timely. So we'll be discussing how that might look going forward.
Yeah, I don't think I would criticize your process at all.
Well, it's worth a review.
From the vendor standpoint, it's a very, we do it well. This one kind of slid, that's all.
Normally, when they're held from the audit committee. It's normal to have it held from the floor, so.
And I think the result was the same. We kind of messaged them that, hey, we're looking at this, we're not happy about it.
Well, it didn't
We don't
cost
like
us
the way
extra
we're
interest
treated.
panel.
I think the result was the same anyway.
Who was gonna withhold from us, Brian? You said they were gonna get it one way. or the
Yeah,
other.
they said they would withhold from money that was supposed to come to us, or they would take whatever means. They didn't mince the matter.
One of the threats that was made was if we felt that the contract was over, the settlement agreement has language in it that says that any increase in the assessment won't be above whatever our tax cap is. And they may have said they might recalculate that. That was our opinion.
I think the next step is probably when we, for, working our advocacy, talking to people is to try and, work a sort of legislative line and not just.
Well, we've learned a lot more, especially out of their response, tells us more than
Yep.
they were ever sharing with us before. There's an avenue. Doesn't mean we'll be successful.
At least we know what would have happened if we ever did it right.
We're gonna pay one. Okay, moving on to
No, right,
the amendments. Okay, resolution A, IT, this is the money we took from contingency to buy this stuff in advance, so it wouldn't be in the 2025 budget. Moved by Daryl, second by James. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. B is capital project 125, improvements for engineering reimbursable expenses, getting money to where they can be expended. Move it. Moved by Sam, second by Kathy. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Resolution C, the Governor's Traffic Safety Committee, it's a grant, I believe. Yep, so moved by Daryl, second by Cassie. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. D is the Public Health for Child Passenger Safety Grant, moved by James, second by Tim. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. E is Public Health Recognized Early Intervention Administration Grant. Moved by Sue, second by James. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. F is DSS for Shelter Arrears Eviction Forestallment Program. It's a very small number. At least we got some. Moved by Sam, seconded by Tim. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Mental health, 100% state aid. Moved by Daryl, seconded by Cassie. Discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. H is to amend county road fund for Lake Champlain Basin Program Grant, basically $7,500 short on the brine. That's the right one, is it Al?
Yep.
And, this is how we're getting the money there to make sure we can make this payment.
Move it.
Moved by Sam, discussion by, or second by Tim. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, carried. I is official newspaper designation.
All right,
You are?
I'll move that one.
Second. Okay, moved by Daryl, seconded by Tim. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, carried. Jay, same thing again.
I'll move it.
Moved by Daryl, seconded by Sam. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, carried. Okay, here's the mortgage tax warrant. This shows what we actually got. Yep,
Don't cash these checks yet. I'm waiting for a call back from the county clerk's office. I have a discrepancy with this number that I'm waiting for her to circle back to me on. It's not a drastic number. I have 619, 257, so it's
As long as you don't
it's
do
not
that.
millions off. I have a different number than she does.
Yeah, it's true.
You may see the unamended report.
and actually the two together are about the same as they were last year, so. So we're just moving that to the full board and whatever the number becomes, if Al gets it out to us.
There'll be another $20,026 in supplemental.
Okay. Moved by Sue, second by Daryl. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Then the equalization report. Motion for that. Moved by James, second by Tim. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
I just have a question. So with some of your supervisors here, are there movements in your town to move it to the 100%? I don't know what the feel is of other supervisors in your town. I'm just kind of curious
Is what now?
to move it, to get the revals done.
Yeah, we're on different cycles, so I think everyone's trying, other than maybe Easton, they said they're trying to go backwards more. So you told us earlier.
I'm telling you, you need hearing aids.
You said it was dropping and they had more lawsuits, so it's gonna take it down lower eventually.
I was just curious, we're trying to keep ours at 100%, so.
Yeah, I think all of us are trying to keep it at 100, but it does get tough. But it takes time too.
You're what, 75?
Down to 80.
Oh, that's what happens. That,
You're at 75%.
yeah, when we plan on coming on back to 126.
There are options too for the assessors to work with the state as well to get a grant to do kind of an in-house reassessment as well. You know, in the interim years before you do big assessment. A lot of the assessors that already work with the state, you know, with Colleen, she does one every year for her towns, and that's kind of what keeps you at 100%. And if you work with the state throughout the year, they can kind of give you a tentative around January as to where you're falling and what changes you need to make if you need to or want to stay at 100%. So just using their contacts.
And everyone's situation is different. I know in ours, we have more estate properties now. We need the actual reval. It's, you know, kind of like Fort Ann just did. You kind of, every once in a while, got to do it alone, and that's kind of where we're at. Did we have a motion second on that? Do we have? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Not carried. Okay, K is 2025 tentative budget for taxes on county property. This is the line that was left blank. We're at the 37-1 back in from fund balance, 37-1. I need a motion to add that. Motion by Tim, second. Cassie, any discussion? All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed, carried. L is a resolution adopting the budget for fiscal year 2025, making appropriations for the conduct of county government. Moved by Daryl, second by James. Tim, any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, carried. M is to adopt the non-union grade schedule for 2025.
Motion by Tim, second. James, any discussion? All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed? Carried. N is to set the time and place for public hearing on introductory local law J for the salaries.
You set a date.
Motion by Kathy. Second by James. Kevin. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed? Carried. O is established the 2025 salary schedule for exempt stipends. Motion by Dana, second by Tim. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed? Carried. The Dear taxpayer letter. Good to make sure everybody's happy with that. You had a chance to look at the letter? Well done. Thanks, Sue. He's very good. Okay, need a motion. To accept the letter. By Dana, second by Cassie. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed? Carried. And the rest of the stuff is for your information, standard resolutions. For the sewer districts and the water rents. And we're thinking that in another year, we're gonna combine them all. But it's according to. So those will all be on our docket on that Friday. Okay. Other business?
That's got potential contract.
Okay.
I get up there and everything. Good.
You wanna be important, you gotta look important. I'm under the radar. I don't want it.
You want me to explain this?
Sure.
So we are paving Burgoyne Avenue, County Route 37. And there is water lines under County Route 37 and they spur off into side streets. Long story short, we worked with the village of Fort Edward to get these lines on, I believe it was 3 of the streets replaced ahead of our schedule so that we don't have to dig up our new road when they come back to replace them, because they're trying to get funding to do a lot of their infrastructure and their water. We're not sure exactly how this happened or what happened, but the situation that we're in now is that on one of those streets, Prospect, it's not got enough cover. The pipe that the contractor put in, there was miscommunication between somebody and somebody else. So there's, I don't remember, 4 point something of cover, but it should be 5. Regardless of what it is, it should be 5. So we're trying to figure out if it's best to put insulation over it and keep it where it's at, or dig it down and replace it where it should be. And if we put insulation over it, they want us to warranty that work, and I don't think we're comfortable.
Basically, there's 2 options. There's either placing insulation over the pipe to get it to the required depth or reburying it. Main issue, because we didn't get our stuff done the way we wanted to at the time, because we were maybe done by the 31st, but this issue, is there has to be certain warranties on whatever we decide to do. The village sent a draft agreement. I have some issues with it, because it makes it seem like the village wants us to pay for any repair that happens over the next 10 years, whether it's related to our work or not. I'm real thrilled about that. But effectively, what we're trying to do is we're trying to, I guess, get authorization to enter into an agreement with the village to complete our work, for lack of a better term. I think if we do the installation, we need an agreement. If we do the burial, not so much, but then the issue becomes the warranty.
But that would be the warranty for the blacktop, and we're not overly concerned about a warranty for the blacktop. That's a DOT rule when you pay after August 31st. It's a small intersection. Blacktop doesn't hold up because it's frigidly cold out today. They wouldn't be at fault for it.
So you'd be opposed to doing the insulation? That's what you're saying?
The
Their
preferred
view.
method is burying it.
Very.
And the initial draft of the agreement I got was loaded with, with the insulation as well. Burials are preferred option. Because of that, we want this really, I said, we're willing to bury it. And, as I understand it, there was a meeting on Thursday. It sounded like everyone agreed to bury the pipe. Friday morning, village engineer kind of waffled a little bit. So now we're negotiating back and forth, basically.
Yeah, just so I understand, so it's supposed to be 5 foot down and it's at 4'6". Is that,
Ish, I don't remember
yeah.
the exact name.
so we still have to dig down and put the insulation over the top of it?
That's an option because it's not 5 feet.
Right, but what I'm saying, we still have to dig down and do the
Not in the
insulation.
road. None of this is in the road. This is in the intersection, but not from the shoulder of the intersection to the other side of 37. So 37 is relatively safe. It's just the intersection.
But we have to dig either way, right? And
Yes.
insulation
Put
costs.
insulation in, we have to dig.
Right,
Lower the
right.
pipe, we have to dig.
So if we're digging anyways, and the insulation's extra money and there's all these other things tied to it, then what's the extra 6 inches when you're?
I think we both agree, the village and the county, that burying it is the best thing.
Yeah, I think it's just.
Village.
So the village is on the hook to bury it?
Sounds to me like they need to
Yeah, it sounds
pay
like,
back for putting it right.
right, they should have done their job right the
They-
first time.
They're claiming that they were not given the correct information. We haven't delved into blame. We're trying to fix the issue because of the time constraints with the weather.
So basically, the only reason we care about the village's water pipes is so we can get our paving done. Why do we, other than that, why do we care where the village puts their water pipe, and how deep they dig it, what else they do?
At least said I was mean today.
Well, no, I mean, it's a balanced question.
They gotta redig the new pavement, that's why.
Right.
But now she said, no, we don't have to dig up the
I think
37.
the concern is that the village water system is over 100 years old. And, there's the potential they may claim if there's a break or repair, it is because of our digging project.
Right, and they shouldn't put their pipes under our road.
I agree, it should go in people's homes.
So where are we at? Are we trying to actually just redo the whole job at their cost? Because it's their job, it's not even ours.
We're trying to get permission to figure this all out and enter an agreement with the village if we have to.
That's all you want from a motion?
Yep.
Okay. Well, anybody want to make that motion?
I'll move it.
Second. Okay, discussion.
How many feet are we talking? Are we talking like a small,
Like
type 20 feet?
You haven't been out there. I'm bad judge distance, but I'm gonna say 15, 20.
And how
It's
wide?
not.
Just the width of a bucket?
Well, you got to know where the pipe is. so it could be
Well-
two.
Well, if they know it's a 4.5 feet rather than 5, they know exactly where the
Well,
pipe.
that's because we did a bunch of test drills, because initially they thought there were
That's usually how it works.
test bits, and I apologize, I'm not an engineer, so I don't know terminology.
I couldn't even find the pipe.
This is actually starting to intrigue me, so I have a question. I have several questions. Is this the old pipe that we paved over that has to be lowered, or is this a new pipe that was installed but not installed low enough?
That, not installed low enough. New pipe, not installed low enough. They made every effort to not have to have this situation. It's just we made changes to the County Route 37 to fix drainage, and whether their engineer or our engineer didn't read it right or convey it properly, it didn't get buried to where it needed to be because of those drainage changes.
So in other words, we lowered the road on 37, which shallowed their water line from what they thought it was supposed to be, right? Is this basically what
In a
we're,
nutshell.
Either way, they're able to hook it.
Say, what's, back to the chairman's point, we do nothing, what's the risk?
If their water breaks, we would be responsible for it because it's not, well, we could be responsible.
could be,
haven't-
but not
Because we
guaranteed.
haven't determined blame yet. Now's our opportunity to move that risk to zero-ish as opposed to 8%. I don't know, whatever, what percent.
So we really have no problem digging it up and doing it right.
Right.
It's just a case that they have to have permit. We have to talk to one another to make it happen,
And you need us to give you permission so you two can figure
so
it
they
out.
can talk.
I'll make a motion to.
Yeah, we're there already.
There are.
Yeah, we'd already got the motions. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Well, good luck with that. You explained that so well. Very good. Is there any other business? Are we all good? We're adjourned. Thanks, everyone. Appreciate it.